Welcome, everyone, to 55 and 5, Episode 8. Cary Silkin in Riccaboni. This is the only game show on YouTube that's not a game show, and where Cary and I's responses don't matter except to educate the fans. Cary, we had 2 stumpers in a row in 6 and 7.
You've turned me into the village idiot.
No.
The common simpleton.
If anybody knew who Steve McGill?
A doofus.
I don't even remember the poor guy's name. Steve McGill. There you go. Steve McGill.
It's okay. The Parkhurst 55 set, it's from 64 years ago.
Yeah.
And but the last guy he pulled off, Steve McGill, had retired basically when the set came out.
Yeah, still scratching my head.
So I'm hoping at least to have someone who's within the wrestling magazines that I have and have seen the names of. So please, as a holiday for some holiday cheer, give me a name that doesn't stump me completely.
Absolutely. I have the name just for you to remind fans of what we're doing here. I have the 1955 Parkhurst set. Features 121 cards of the famous wrestlers of the day and the not so famous ones that probably got into the set because their dad was a famous wrestler. This one, that's not the case, not a second generation star to my knowledge, but he's a former world champion. So this is good news. Cary will have 5 minutes. Cary and I are both verbose. So his 5-minute maximum to tell us about this wrestler. If we get to 5 minutes like we had to do with Argentina Rocca, I'm going to cut Cary off and we're going to wrap it up. So I'm going to show this wrestler to the camera. It's a nice landscaped photo. You can't quite see his trademark mustache, but it's there. And then, Cary, what can you tell me about Whipper Billy Watson?
Well, Whipper Billy, there's the man who belongs in the Canadian set. Mm-hmm. He's a Canadian legend. He was also an NWA champion.
Right.
I would see his names in my earliest days of scouring for the wrestling magazines at 11, 12 years old. You would always see it was Whipper Billy Watson. Mm-hmm. And he was associated with Canada.
Yeah.
I'm sure he made Madison Square Garden appearances over his career, but am I safe to say he retired like by 70-ish?
Yeah. In 1971, he was in a car crash that left his hip and knee pretty damaged. Almost had to get his leg amputated. But before that, he had quite an amazing career. He actually got into the business side of things, and that's where he made a lot of his money. That's actually kind of what helped him become a world champion. May 1941, they did one of the first things to really blur reality and the world of wrestling. He said his first contract that he signed publicly in the newspaper, he said, "I was guaranteed a world title shot by Frank Tunney.
Interesting.
And I'm only wrestling the prelim matches." So they made a big deal about it. And then he defeated 4 men in one night to, quote unquote, earn a world championship.
What year was that?
That was 41.
Okay.
And so that was his first big launch kind of into the Maple Leaf Gardens territory, the Toronto territory. And what made him popular among the wrestling promoters to come in was he was willing to have any kind of match the promoters wanted, and whoever the winner was that the promoter wanted to have would be the winner.
So he would do business.
He was a very good businessman, and he would return the favor, so to speak. He had feuds with Lou Thesz, Gene Kiniski, Gorgeous George, wrestled a lot in St. Louis in addition to Toronto. Right. One of the big things I found out was he actually tried to open and run a territory in Seattle, but...
That's interesting, and I have a vague vague thing about that. But go ahead, continue, please.
It didn't last very long. March the 15th, 1956, he beat Lou Thesz. Jack Dempsey was the special guest referee.
Really?
Yeah, the former heavyweight champion of the world.
Well,
in boxing.
And boxers have been used often.
Right.
Joe Louis, Jersey Joe Walcott, as referees in that period of time. A lot of these guys were down on their luck. Mm-hmm. And, Whipper Billy Watson was one of the greats. How old was he when he had that accident? Do you have his
I do. He's born in 1915. He had the accident in 71, so 56.
He wasn't a young man.
Yeah, he was still wrestling. He lost the title the same year in 56 back to Luthez. But one of his biggest accomplishments, he has an elementary school named after him in Toronto.
That's probably the only wrestler in the world that has a school named after him.
We'll have to look that up. It's certainly not Steve McGill. Steve McGill Elementary. But has an elementary school. Big with the Easter Seals. Raised record-breaking amounts for the Easter Seals using his celebrity as a wrestler. So,
a good man.
He's a good man. You see here, he has the a nice not handlebar, but nice mustache. And, really great technical wrestler. And he had one of the first guys to have a persona, too. He was portrayed as sort of an everyman, not unlike Steve Austin, which is interesting. It wasn't as colorful with the language, wasn't as colorful in the gestures, but really portrayed as this guy doesn't quite look like a wrestler, but he's going to tie you up.
Well, the Whipper name, was it just a play on the W, just a play on word with Watson, or did he have like a fabulous Irish whip into the ropes? We don't know.
We'll get back to you on that one, but that's it's Whipper Billy Watson, one of the great technical stars. At the back of the card, the fast-moving, crowd-pleasing wrestler, The Whip, possesses an extraordinary knowledge of balance and leverage. His specialties are the Irish Whip,
there you go,
Canadian Avalanche, and the paralyzing corkscrew holds. And there you have it. The Whip, part of Whipper Billy Watson's arsenal. We're going to stop the clock. 19 seconds left, 4 minutes and 41 seconds.
Not bad.
Not bad. We landed the plane before the 5 minutes on a former world champ.
And I got the Irish Whip right.
There you go. This is a lot more fun than Steve McGill.
Yes.
I'll tell you. Poor Steve. I feel like we're gonna hear from the McGill family at some point.
And what was the guy a couple of cards ago, the actor?
Oh, yeah. I will check the list. That was Vic Holbrook.
Right.
Vic Holbrook, the great thespian.
Right. Well, we're going to be moving on to what? Number 9?
Number 9. Yeah, number 9. Number 9. And we hope you move on with us. So for AJ of Bisson Creative, our editor and producer, Cary Silkin, I'm Ian Riccaboni for Lamb Chop, who made a brief cameo. Happy wrestling, everybody. We'll see you next time on 55 and 5.